Today's title is What Does Christianity Believe in? Scripture from John chapter 1, verse 19 through 14. There was the true light which coming into the world enlightened every man. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and those who were his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, even to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became fleshy and dwelt among us, and he saw his glory. We saw his glory as of the only begotten from the Father, full of grace and the truth. Because man has been made according to the image of God. So in the fundamental, the base of the personality of the human being has the attitude to worship some transcendent being like God. So among the more than 5,000 tribes in this world, in their thinking system, we can find some shape of the religion to worship some transcendent being. Of course, their name and the function is whole different from each other. Christianity is one of them. However, when we call our way of the faith is Christianity, the meaning of the Christianity is the way of Christ. So I would like to share what kind of faith we believe in the name of the Christian or Christianity. Actually, today's scripture has been written by Apostle John, the first generation church after Jesus. So actually, there is many kind of prescription or description or explanation or something, and something about God. However, every single religion call their God as God or La or Buddha or something like that, but common thing is their transcendence of the human being. Even the atheists as well, they don't have the faith for the transcendent being or creator or something. However, their aim or goal of the technology and the science is to make the situation of overcome kind of insufficiency or the defect of the human being, like death or sickness or something like that. And then eventually, I believe they're gonna make something. That something is to be the transcendent being. That is owing to or thankful to the AI or robot or well, whatever it is. The Elon Musk, make one of the prediction for the future. Among them, what I have the agreement with his opinion is that in the future, human being make in that way science technology to make some transcendent God, just beyond human uh, the condition and ability. And eventually the human being make some new religion to worship AI or robot or some kind of transcendent being. I agree with that. Eventually they're going to make that. But that is exactly the same idea to make the statue or idol with stone or wood or something. And even their own masterpiece of their hand, but in front of them they worship just to protect me and give us the safety and the secure or welfare or something like that. Exactly the same idea. So at this moment, if we're going to worship only God, that is good faith. However, in this scripture, there is many explanation about some being that is about the God, however, another God. That is the point that we're going to share today. This is mentioning about the creation. However, this God, the purpose or intention of the Apostle John is to give us some idea to think about there is God the Father and that there is another God. He's mentioning about another God. Of course, there is no mentioning about another something. However, for the emphasize, we're going to use, I prefer to use the expression another God. Of course, God the Father and God the Son is not different from each other. The Trinity, one person. However, especially we would like to distinguish there is God the Father and there is another God. Our faith for the Christianity is requiring to have that faith for the another God. So I'd like to share with you about that. There is kind of a misunderstanding or confusion related to the second or the another God. Is the first thing is that many portion of the Christian used to have the faith for there is no distinguishment between the God and the Jesus. Oh, they're one, not different from each other. Just a blessing, asking for blessing, or have the belief or reward or punishment according to our attitude, and eventually he's gonna make some judgment or something. That attitude of the faith is exactly the same with any other religion, like a Buddhist or shamanism or any other religion have same kind of attitude to worship God, their own God, requiring kind of blessing or rewarding or something like that. So if we have the faith for God rule over whole of the world, that is good attitude, but not enough as a Christian. There is another faith for the another God. That God was in the world and came into the world for what? To make the unification. So his providence, his working is through who believe in his name, and as many as received him, acceptance, received him. It's kind of a choice. We can open our mind to accept that another God in our mind or not. We can reject or accept. So if we not going to accept the coming of the another God, there is no unification. But if we accept and received him in our heart, in our personality, in our living and our own world, there is a kind of providence and working together. Working of God. It's kind of a creation. So, in this world and through the whole history, not only 2,000 years ago, while Jesus has been existed in this world as a human being, one of the men, except for that, as well as that, before Jesus, long history period, and after Jesus has been ascended, not existing in this world until our time, there is a whole history. Through the whole history of the Bible, he was the third line. He was in the Word. He was in the world. So, in the time of Noah, in the time of Abraham, in the time of Moses, in the time of King David, in every time he was in the Word. So they have the faith, two different kind of faith. For the first one is for God the Father to rule all over the world, and the second faith is for the another God, another God. Even Jesus had not been appeared in this world as a man a long time ago before Jesus coming. They have the faith for the another God. So the last Sunday we have shared about the scripture of the Psalm. The Lord told my Lord. Can you remember? The Lord, Jehovah, God the Father, and told my Lord is not any person. It's kind of another God. So there is a distinguishment to two different gods, but it's one God, Trinity. So at this moment, if we would like to call ourselves as a Christian, we need to be required to have two different kind of faith. For the first one is God the Father to rule over everything, and the second one is the another God to be accepted our heart, our personality, according to my own decision, to make the unification with the Lord. So we have to have the wisdom to distinguish these two different kind of wisdom, the two different kind of faith. And the second misunderstanding regarding to the another God is many religion to have the way of the being to be transcendent is kind of meditation or perception or something like that. They used to make the misunderstanding transcendent self, my own transcendent self. When they're gonna reach up to nirvana, something stage, at a time they have the encounter to have a meeting with another self, higher level, higher dimension, transcendent to myself. That is not what we are talking about. Our faith regarding to God, another God, is not my own transcendent self. It's a whole different concept. The third misunderstanding is about historical Jesus, historical person Jesus. 99% Christian used to have the faith for that Jesus, historical person. While they have the faith for the historical person Jesus only, without the faith for the another God, no choice but to waiting for the second coming of Jesus historically, like Goku. Yeah, like Goku, like the riding the clouds, because they have written, they have read the ascension, the ascension of Jesus has been lifted to the heaven, something like that. That heaven is not a kind of a transportation of a physical space or another dimension or something like that. It's not. They require some kind of understanding or interpretation or perception. That is, the final destination of the ascension of Jesus is to make the unification in our personality. So, if they call themselves as a Christian, or they have the faith for the Christianity, however, only for the historical person Jesus, then no choice but to waiting for Jesus supposed to become in someday in the future, historically riding on the clouds with the trumpet sound of the angels or something like that. All those things is kind of sign and symbols should require the interpretation spiritually. So at this moment, the faith required for those who would like to call themselves as Christian, we have the faith for the Christianity or something, then we require to have the faith for God the Father to rule over everything. And the second faith is another God to make the unification, knocking the door in our minds. And while we accept the interpretation of the word, He gonna take the position of the throne in our innermost being to make the unification. These two different kind of faith will be required. So at this moment, we are living in the time of a blessing because we have been born in this world after Jesus have finished all his ministry, crucifixion and the resurrection. And after that, in this time, the meaning of this time means not the apocalyptic or end of days or doom days or something. I'm not talking about that. The meaning of this time is after Jesus, like after John, after Apostle Peter, or some the first generation church. After Jesus, all those the historical mission of Jesus has been fulfilled. Additionally, the faith for the another God who has been existed in working in this world all the time of Moses, in the time of Abraham. So at this moment we have two different kind of faith. The first thing is the historical mission of Jesus has been finished, and the second one is through the whole history, the another God is working in the way of the unification in the time of Moses, in the time of now as well. So we have two different kind of faith in our time. So that is a blessing and the grace. So it is not different from each other. Historical Jesus is not transferred to another dimension, but make the unification in our world. That's the meaning of the ascension. And we have the faith for this Jesus is the another God who had worked in every time, in every person. So what is the meaning of his name? He gave the right to become the children of God, even those who believe in his name. What's the meaning? Some of the pastors would like to make the interpretation. This name, his name is because he has been abided in the some of the person. So the name is belong to the person, like a host. I don't like that interpretation. Then in every time, some of the person who has a name, his own name, her own name, we have to believe his or her name, to have the Christianity. It's not correct. So the name of his name is, who is that? Changi? Yeah. Okay. His name is kind of a sentence. His name is sentence. That is Emmanuel. Means, Hebrew translated in English is God is with us. So eventually, Jesus himself gonna be disappeared after resurrection. The easiest and the best way to make the conviction to us for the resurrection, the fact that he has been resurrected, is to reveal himself in front of us, in every time, in every person. But he would not take it that way. Instead of that, just he disappeared. Because only we have the sentence, the word. The condensed form of the whole word is God is with us, Emmanuel. So when we're going to have the unification, have the faith for that, then eventually we're going to have the faith for not only the Jesus, but also the God himself. God, the Trinity, going to make the unification with us. That is the final destination of our faith and the gospel and the Christianity. Okay, thank you. Thank you. 아, 그러세요? 예, 예.